And we're live. Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome in. It's the Nick Club Wrestling Happy Hour. I am one half of your host and virtual bartender, Mr. Nick Teodoro. Joining me, as always, is my tag team partner in life, my wife, Miss Nicole. Nicole, what are you having this evening?
Oh, you know me. I'm having some Tito's, some cranberry and orange juice. Mr. Nick, I need you to tell me what you're drinking and some 3 things that happened at wrestling this week.
Well, I'm drinking my red wine, as usual, my Seven Oaks by J. Lore Cabernet. Well, Jacob Fatu has stepped up for the Bloodline. Jon Moxley is challenging Darby Allin, and Punk McIntyre will be inside a Hell in a Cell, your birthday gift. Congratulations. It's Friday, September 13th, 2024. This is the Nick Club Wrestling Happy Hour. Happy Friday. Welcome back in. It's the Nick Club Wrestling Happy Hour. If you're new here, hit the old like and subscribe. We love having you. If you're a regular, we love having you back. Nikki, let's get right to it.
Yep.
It's been a week.
It's been a week. There's so many things I want to talk about, especially my birthday WrestleMania extravaganza. We have a lot to get through.
Nicole Mania is in full swing. We're not calling it Nicole Mania.
No, that was your thing.
Yeah, but Nicole Mania.
Thing. No.
I can't do the Nicole Mania.
No, that's your birthday thing. I need my own birthday thing.
Unbelievable.
Bad blood. Hell is hell. The fall mania, the autumn mania, the SummerSlam's hot mania.
Now I need to go back to the drawing board.
Yep.
New nicknames.
Yep.
For Nicole.
Yep.
It's very Nicktober. Maybe we'll call it Nicktober.
Oh, maybe. I'm not mad at that one.
Nicktober. Write in the comments below. You like that one? See if it gets approval from the masses.
Yeah.
But we open Monday Night Raw. A lot to take away. But we start with the Wyatt Sicks and American Made to settle the feud once and for all. Did the Wyatt Sicks complete the sweep? Let's check it out. Thrilling victory. We start with the Wyatt Sicks and American Made. Nikki, take us there. What were your thoughts and takeaways from the Wyatt Sicks and American Made street fight?
Really liked it. I think it was a fun match. I loved how, again, it was the first time we're seeing Nikki without the mask on. And she just ran right in there. Like, the boys were, like, standing on the apron. And the girls are like, nah, let's get this started. So, like, Nikki and Ivy, like, clashing together that made, like, the guys clash together. And then it was just a big old crazy schmosh from there. Again, they focus on, like, the women first. And it's like, Nikki grabs the trash can, puts it on Ivy, does the typical kendo stick, I'm gonna smack you with it. And then, like, threw her into the guardrail and then did a missile drop kick while she's in the trash can.
I think it's classic, like, Triple H booking.
Mm-hmm.
Like, putting the women first. Like, and actually my question in all this is, like, with the women being so front and center, I guess, I said this to you, like, was American Made put together to get Ivy Nile over?
Your dream?
I don't know. I just think that, like,
No.
in the first couple of weeks, the person who's looked the strongest out of that, I mean, granted, the group hasn't looked strong really much at all, but I don't know.
No.
Like, I just get the feeling that she's looked the strongest so far. Like,
Yeah, until Nikki beat her up.
yeah, but Nikki's part of this super group.
Well, I don't get your logic on this one. Wasn't Ivy also in like a super group?
No.
Or you're bringing the supernatural?
Yeah, the supernatural group.
They haven't really been Scooby. No, American Me's not put together to put over Ivy. No.
So then who?
I think this is the final act of this feud, and I think maybe this next week or after Bad Blood, they will both go into different programs because they made very much said it. Like, I don't know, I'll skip around, but like when they get Loomis gets the 1, 2, 3, and then Tessator immediately was like, "That's how you collect a debt," and then Wade's like, "What a crescendo!"
Right.
So like I think this is the fun element of this feud. So then I think whatever Chad and American Me go into next, I think they'll have to build them back up. I think if that's what, because I think we talked about this with Ed previously, like when like Brian and Brian and Finn Balor feuded with the Fiends, then they started to act a little different or be a little different. And I think maybe you have to build like kind of crumble Chad down and American Me down and build them back up.
Yeah, I mean, he could still. I mean, they kind of had a little bit of a, match with American. What are they called now? American Alpha.
No, Alpha Academy.
Damn. So close.
No, not allowed.
I know. I'm getting there, but we will in time. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess, yeah. Do it again. American. The Tozawa group.
Alpha
Academy. I don't know why I keep getting. So maybe they do a little bit with Alpha Academy for the next like month just to get a couple of wins and look strong again because they only had one. So maybe it's an Otis Gable like match where Gable somehow again probably cheats the win but looks strong. I'm not sure. But ultimately, yeah, there are a couple of really fun spots in this match overall, but a great way to start, like, was it an hour of
the first hour was commercial free, and the first 20, 30 minutes was this match. I do want to, if I can call out my two other favorite parts of this match, and of course they're Nikki. She does a German on Chad Gable, the king of Germans, and it was beautiful. And then when I'm sorry to your girlfriend, but when she did I want to get what Wade called it. Perfect. He called it, when he put her, Nikki put Ivy up, they're on the outside. She puts her on the apron ropes and then drives her down into the chairs. He called it a swinging hangman's neck breaker. Because she swung her.
Yeah.
So those two, and then again, she came out of the ring. Because again, like the girls would fight and then they would take each other out. I loved at one point, Ivy threw Nikki onto the announce table and she kicked Tessator's notes out of his hand and they just went flying.
He's coming along. He's coming along.
Yeah. He has some good, I think it was always his first night. I think everyone needs to calm down about it. But Ivy goes underneath to probably get another whatever, and then Nikki crawls out and he's like, "Surprise, Pitbull!"
Yeah.
Stop laughing, but it's like he brings. So it's like, I know it's not. I don't think he's as deadpan as people think he is, and I don't think he's quite the cheese of Michael Cole. I think he's somewhere in the middle. But again, second match.
Well,
you're
also,
not good at your job the second.
Also, there's the element of like we're in football season, so like
he did college football.
Yeah, like, but to hear like that, I guess maybe it's more of a mainstream idea. To hear that voice, make it a little bit more mainstream to the masses, because at the end of the day, they're trying to get back, and it's all about appealing to the masses and pleasuring your own fans. So, Yeah, don't look at me like that.
Blistering your own fans.
Making your fans happy. God, whatever.
Well,
I don't even know sometimes.
but,
So we move along from one faction to another, where the Judgment Day ends up standing tall as well on Raw. So 3 separate segments. I don't know why I have Rhea coming out there. But basically, in the next segment, Finn Balor actually gets his showdown, the one-on-one face-to-face with Damian Priest that we were talking about, like why you screwed each other over. And it's a callback to, I know, Nikki, you mentioned this a couple of times on the show. You know, he'd been screwed over in the past by Priest for the world title. So
I really thought, because they're in Calgary. He was just like, "Oh, I didn't screw you. Like, you screwed me," and I really wanted him to be like, like Brett screwed me.
Yeah.
Like you screwed you, but no. But yeah,
that would have been a good segment to have Bret Hart involved in.
We're gonna get to that. Oh, Grandpa. But basically, it was just like I would have been the champion, but you were always looming around me with the briefcase. And when you became champion, I was the guy that made sure you were champion. And then,
like I had your back the whole time,
yeah.
But when it came to me winning the belt, you didn't do anything.
Right.
So ultimately, oh, go ahead.
There's just one more line I liked when he was just like, "You made me a sidekick." And he's like, "I'm Finn Balor. Like, I am not a sidekick." And I was like, "Yes, remember who you are."
Yeah, no, I mean, true. Like, which is weird because he says it with the tag team titles.
Yeah, but JD is his sidekick.
I know, but it's just like, I'm no sidekick, but then what does your sidekick think about that?
That's what I think this is going to lead to, because you can tell when they walk out, he's always dead center. He always talks. He actually, when they do their big entrance together, he walks, like when they stop at the middle of the ramp and or towards more, I guess, the ring, then they all pose, and then he's the one that hops on the apron, and then they all go around him. So I think it's be like, we did this because we said there was no leaders, and then we kicked them out, and now you're trying to be leaders.
I would love the idea of like Liv's cheating on Dom then with him at the end of the day. I think that would be a nice twist in this. So ultimately, he talks about how they wrote the playbook together for the Judgment Day, and you should know that we're coming. One thing leads to another. The whole Judgment Day group comes out, back and forth. Rhea comes out to try and save the day. Liv counters Rhea. And ultimately what we see is the image of Judgment Day standing tall. One of the rare times in this last 2 months since they've been together.
Since SummerSlam, this is like the second time they stood tall.
Yeah, I guess, with this storyline, my question now with this whole, and I feel like I know what you're going to say already, but is Bad Blood the blow off for the JD and Terror Twins feud? Because, you still have Survivor Series looming, but with what ultimately ends up happening, was this last week? I'm blending into one, but where Finn Balor is challenging Damian Priest at Bad Blood.
Yes, that's a Bad Blood match. Because he said you're gonna fall on the same night, like I challenge you. Because earlier, I think in between the Wyatt match and this segment, they said it is gonna be Rhea Liv for the belt at Bad Blood. So he's like, you're both gonna fall on the same night. I challenge you to Bad Blood. Yeah.
So is Bad Blood going to be the end of this feud, or does it continue? Because to me, my question in this whole situation is that you have Liv Morgan. If Liv Morgan loses the belt, then there's no rematch. This is only the one, or no, I guess it's the second one-on-one that they had since SummerSlam. So usually it's a rule of threes, right? That they would have a third match, a third singles match at least. So that hasn't happened, and then this is the only one between Finn and Priest. And I know this is blasphemous, but Bad Blood is not a Big Four pay-per-view, so with Survivor Series looming, I don't know, is this the end of this feud?
No. It's going to keep going to Mania. The rumor is, if you want to believe the old rumor mill, that the women's Hell in a Cell is supposed to be Team Rhea versus Team Liv. I think I don't think it would be a surprise. You have to have Rhea win the belt back at a major 4. Yes, Steven.
That's what ideally you'd probably like to see. Steven said it's a big 4 to someone.
No, but I don't think Bad Blood is the end. I think that it's going to keep going. I think there's still... You're going to have Rhea win the belt back. It has to be Mania. Maybe Royal Rumble. And then she defends and retains at Mania.
Yeah, I mean...
But Liv's winning at Bad Blood. But I also said she was winning at Berlin.
Spoiler alert, those picks aren't for 2 more weeks-ish. Don't give it away.
No, but no, they're still miles. They're going to, I think, milk this for a while.
Yeah.
But then what do you...
I mean,
I think Priest has to go over on Finn. Again, we're not doing our predictions, so I'll table that.
I don't know. It's a tough question, but
all kind of going back to this, like he falls over Rhea to protect Rhea. They rip him off. They all 4 like have him, and they're beating him in the stomach with a crutch. And then Jay comes out.
Yeah.
And he just with a chair, and they all scatter.
Yeah.
And then the segment ends, and they're playing Jay's music. And I'm like, no.
Yeah, because he's getting a girl.
Came out if you want mommy, you should have came out a little sooner.
Well, he runs. He's always in the
Yeah.
parking lot. He starts his entrance in the parking lot, so he had to run all the way from across the street. I think he just doesn't want to pay for the parking.
Like I do like Jay with them, but I just felt like either I don't know, I just felt like too much distraction. And then he like doesn't even get a hit on anybody. And then your music ends the segment. I'm like, I don't think so. I think they could have left Jay out of this because then you're like, oh, he's getting ready for his match. He's in the main event. So that makes sense that you didn't come out and save him, but you came out super late and it just feels too little too late. And then you get to end the segment. I don't know. I didn't necessarily like that, but maybe I digress.
Fair enough. Moving along into, I don't even know if this is chronological order, but just a couple of takeaways. We did see, Raw was in Calgary, so we did see the return of the Harts. So Bret Hart does return, cuts a old school Bret Hart promo, somewhat dementia-like.
So before it like they always have they show the person coming in the ring and then it cuts to commercial. They show him walking and he just looks confused. It's like, Grandpa, get in the ring. And then I think maybe someone touched it. His hair was sticking out. So it was like, Natty, comb his hair. He just looked lost. And then when he gets into the ring, he goes to Wade, you can tell, and he asks where Hardcam is. And then Wade tried to be trying to be cool and nonchalant about it and just kind of pointed his microphone to Hardcam. But then he did his whole promo talking to Wade.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, Grandpa, go to bed.
So ultimately it leads to, which I guess, one or the other, right? It could have been the Finn Balor segment from earlier, or if you're talking about pure wrestlers, Gunther with Hart in a segment talking about being the best ever is probably good timing, appropriate.
Because obviously Sammy challenged him last week and he was like, no. And then in his promo, he's like, oh, Canadian champions, we never turn down a challenge. So that's the foreshadowing of that's gonna Gunther was gonna come out.
Right.
So Gunther, he just seems so schmarmy, and he kept smiling. I think this is the most he's ever smiled during a promo, and I was just like, he's being rude, but he's being so charming.
Yeah, no, I think he loves, because he's in there with his mentors, and he's he knows he's made it, and now you get to cut a promo with one of the
Do you
best.
want to say or do you want me to say? Because it was mother flipping chef's kiss.
Oh, the wrestler, the favorite wrestler.
Yeah.
Go ahead. You do the honors.
Blah, 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 blah. And he was like, we all watched you growing up. You'll be hard. Also, to be this close to my second favorite wrestler, my favorite actual of all time is Bill Goldberg. And it's just like, again, if you know, you know. It's just like,
Yeah, it's just like he trolls people, and like he's just a student of the game, playing the game.
Because he's like, oh, this is like passing of the torch. Like, you know, I'm now the best there is and the best there ever will be. And then also small shout out to Tessator, because when he brought out Brett, when he did that best there is, best there was, he's like, it sounded so like sports and professional, and it sounded really good.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's certain elements like, you know, like Gunther and Hart, they were the professionals. Like, this is the sport of wrestling.
Yeah.
Also, just to touch on it, a return, Natty Hart return. We did see her join up to beat up Pure Fusion Collective, which is going to be, I don't even know what they're going to become. Something.
She came out looking like Trish Stratus. She had the cowboy hat and the long coat. And I'm like, that's really not her attire. And she felt real Trish Stratus to me.
Yeah. I mean,
idiots.
it's like, you know, like I get it was in Calgary, so like you should get the biggest pop probably ever of your career there, and still like steady hand, you know, former women's champion, like great wrestler, but just like never like it's like that mid-level over, like appreciative, but just never like.
But she is amazing in the ring. Again, like people like her and TJ have a wrestling school, and like someone was like, I think someone from AEW that was there recently. But like people go to her to learn how to wrestle, and she should be a trainer in NXT and training all the new girls, but she can't cut a promo. Like her voice when she talks, and she's like, oh, let's go back. I'm like, no, like the two of them are just awkward grandpa. Now you can't talk. I'm like, no.
Well, it goes back to the Shawn Michaels talk of like, yeah, he says like in NXT, he'd rather have someone with charisma than in-ring talent because he could do more with that. You can talk them into a match. You know, you could do a lot with it. So
that was a storyline on Total Divas in like 2014, 2016 that she couldn't cut a promo, and she still can't cut a promo. And it's just like, oh girl, just I don't know. I feel bad. Like again, she's one of the how many Guinness World Records she has? Like she's one of the top like female wrestlers of all time, of the amount of matches, the amount of pay-per-views, the amount of wins, and all the stuff that she does.
Steven says her best known gimmick is farting.
Well, and I really like, and it sucks that TJ got injured, because when it was like TJ, Cesaro, and her, when they were tag team champs, I loved that when they were together. And then good, you know, TJ broke his neck into 1,000 pieces.
So
But
from one bad promo to a good promo, ladies and gentlemen, Drew McIntyre and CM Punk will now be competing. Happy birthday, Nicole!
Yes, happy birthday to me.
Bad Blood. Did I spell Bad Blood wrong? Is it 2 B's?
I used to be. I don't know if it's.
Let me change that.
I don't know.
Spelling errors.
Because if you really go and I guess Peacock now, like each Bad Blood is spelled differently. So I don't know.
Yeah. So I'm just I'll go. So it's been announced. Adam Pearce said after hospitalizing with just 3 claymores, CM Punk last week, that the only way to settle this feud will be on Nicole's birthday at Bad Blood.
He does not to shout this guy out, but you know, when Vince McMahon would go Hell in a Cell, and then like the way Adam Pearce did it, I was like, oh, okay. Like when, you know, it's nothing beats like when William Regal said Bull Games, when it's like Hell in a Cell. So
Yeah, he's got a good like raspy
yeah,
voice, I guess.
so but yeah, so it's like we called it. It was just like he went off on Punk because it's like, oh, because just because you're good at hitting four corners, you get to go off to the world heavyweight title scene that you screwed me out of 3 times. And it's just like, no. So I think it makes sense. I'm excited for it. Again, we've been clamoring for this match. I think this is a good what the Hell in a Cell stip is meant for, like your big feud blow off, you're done and done. There's also again rumors they want Punk Gunter at Survivor Series.
Right. So
where that leaves Drew after that, I don't know.
My other question about this is because they hinted at it prior to, because the last couple of times the person who's been the voice of reason for, in theory, to Drew McIntyre has been Wade Barrett. So they hinted at it and teased it prior to the announcement. My question, do we see Drew McIntyre versus Wade Barrett?
I would love it. I loved Wade Barrett post, I guess when Nexus stuff, like when I got back into wrestling. And he was like, you know, the IC champion. Why is this bug still living in here? The IC champion, and he was like Bad News Barrett, and then like like when he boom, and when he won King of the Ring, like I love that IC with him and Ziggy and Miz and all that stuff. Like that Wade Barrett, I loved. Not so much when he did, I guess it was the same character, but was that stupid when he was like Del Rio and Rusev and Sheamus?
Oh, the League of Nations.
Yes, like the. And it's like they all broke up because they didn't like each other. But that bug's in your drink. That bug's in your drink. I want to see it. I don't think Wade, like, I think he left W. Also in the Gunter promo, he called Wade Stu, which is his real name, and I thought that's great. But I don't think like Wade left and he was doing commentary for NWA. Like, I don't think he stopped wrestling because he was like a career ending, like a Big E sort of deal. Like, I just think he just kind of. It's like, all right, like I'm getting up there. Like, yeah, I can slow down. So if he can wrestle.
He was one of my favorite, like he's definitely my favorite guy in the Nexus. Even better than
I know,
Danielson.
He should have been like John. I think Wade should have been so much better, like stupid John Cena.
But ultimately, yeah, I would love to see it, and especially with like I know he was never a world champion, but like when an announcer comes out of announcing that for a match, it's a big deal. So even though this could be, he would never won the belt per se. This could be another feud for McIntyre to keep his momentum going. I think McIntyre could get over Barrett, maybe even put Barrett on the shelf for a little bit away, and that's how he stays a top heel for the company, and a top contender.
Right, because it also could lead into, because obviously now there's been obviously the little switcheroo on Raw. It's Teth and Wade, and then it's Corey and Cole on SmackDown. When they go to Netflix, it's Cole and McAfee, and then Tessator's still on Raw, but they hasn't I don't know if it's been confirmed. It's him and Corey. It's gonna be him, Corey, and Wade. If you have Wade and Corey, I don't think you need Wade and Corey on there both.
Yeah, I don't know.
I want Wade to go back to NXT. But could him having a feud and being taken out by Drew lead to him being off commentary, and that leads to their whatever January looks like?
Yeah, I think you try and patch through, because again, Rollins is going to come back, and he still has a wrinkle in this whole storyline too. So there's a lot to kind of.
Seth come and avenge Wade Stu.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know if they would see it, but I don't know. As people are chiming in here, let us know. Do you want to see Drew McIntyre versus Wade Barrett? Is that a match that? Yeah, or is it just bad news? I can't.
Oh, I was wondering you used to come out on that big podium.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Ugh.
I don't know how. I guess I assume he's not afraid of heights, because that would be kind of crazy. To me, I don't know, but then a lot of performers do a lot of crazy. Which brings us to closing out Monday Night Raw, the fatal 4-way for the #1 contendership, which sees Jimmy Uso.
Jay.
Sorry, oh my gosh. I knew I was going to do that. main event Jey Uso.
You have Jimmy in your third.
So, oh man, I don't know why. No wonder why. Jey Uso.
So it was Peter Dune, Braun Strowman, Jay, and why am I blanking on the fourth man? Ilya, of course, Ilya Dragunov. But basically, of course, someone takes someone else out. He comes in with a splash. Breaker comes out, and I love we haven't really touched on that, but throughout the night, Breaker went to each competitor and basically like crap on them.
Yeah, he ran down literally everyone.
I loved it.
Yeah, you're basically competing for second place is what he's getting at, and that's and as he should. Like I'm the best, I'm the biggest monster here, and like I love that fact. And I think I said it a couple weeks ago, and I'm pretty sure we're building towards it at some point in time in the near future, maybe Survivor Series. I think it's Bronson Reed, Braun Breaker for the Intercontinental title, and the two just mammoths, big meaty men hitting big meaty men.
No.
Isn't that
big meaty men slapping big meaty meat?
It's a mouthful.
Mommy makes me want to tell you about that. This is why I practice that.
Interesting takeaways. Learn a lot tonight. So that wraps up Monday Night Raw. Those were our Raw takeaways. What did you all think of Raw this week? Let us know in the comments below. If you want to chime in shortly, we will open up the phone lines. You can call in. Don't knock everything over. This is why we don't have nice things. So we move along into AEW Dynamite, where it just seems like this is the week of challenges to me. We open with the biggest. Ooh, gosh. I know. I knew I was going to do that. Damn it. With the biggest takeaway, which is Darby Allin getting challenged by Jon Moxley. This BCC coming off of, or the new BCC.
Right. So do you want me to backtrack?
Yeah, we'll backtrack a little bit.
And there's just too much going on, and that pay-per-view was banana pants, but at All Out. Yes. You have to go in
yes.
there.
All Out.
Brian retained, and then the BCC come out, and I was like, oh, what's happening? And then Mox hugs Brian, and I'm like, oh, of course they're friends. And then I'm like, no, this is wrestling. And then they attack, and then I did not expect a plastic bag to go over Brian. That was, it only escalated from there to the next match, but like, so basically Claudio and Mox and Pac, if you want to include him, attack him. Pac holds back Wheeler Yuta, who does I don't know, he's just like, like it didn't even look like Pac.
He's like the baby. He's the baby in the corner.
And just like crying. So basically, they take out Brian, and then what actually opens Dynamite is a promo that Mox did when it was great footage. They showed him and Marina and Claudio and Pac like walking back through, and then you see, I don't know why they didn't stretch for him. Maybe Brian had like, you're not pulling me out on a stretcher, but he's like getting like fireman carried like by like 4 dudes. Wait, that's fireman carried. Whatever. So they passed him like getting, the oxygen mask. But he cuts a promo and basically is like, like, I'm not, he's like, he brings up, he's like, our mentor, he's talking about Regal, like, he was Regal's favorite, but Regal saw himself in me. He's like, I'm not a hero, I'm not a villain, I'm the one true king of these lands. We tried your way, Brian, we tried diplomacy, that failed, I choose war. So then briefly, they come out and beat up Private Party and what other jobber tag team they were supposed to fight. They come out, and then like Pac cuts a promo basically saying like the same thing, that like this place is broken, it's like we're a product of this terrible environment, like diplomacy failed, like we're not going to be in the shadows anymore, blah blah blah. So then that goes off. And then like Brian's just kind of standing there. And then finally Darby comes out, calls out Jon. And then John's like, I don't know what you think is going on between us. And he's like, stop talking. I was like, he said 2 words. And God, Darby's not good on the mic either. So I don't know. This promo.
He talks like literally like a 15-year-old like teenage angst high schooler yelling at his dad. He's like, come on, Jon. Let me tell you something. I used to look up to you, Jon, and you were like my best friend. And I thought everybody, all my idols were awesome, but they all sucked. And now you suck. You sound a lot like losers, and I don't like losers. And I'm gonna go home and take my ball, and I'm gonna just sit in my room, in my closet, and just write poems and stuff.
And he's like, what do you want, Jon? I don't know. It's like the way he kept saying Jon really, really irked me. But basically, Mox tells him that like they took Brian out. You're not gonna have. It was supposed to be Brian Darby at Grand Slam. He's like, well, that match is not happening. He's like, you just need to hand me your title shot. And he's like, I earned this, blah blah blah. And if you want it, so basically, if you want to come earn it, come take it, whatever. So basically, now at Grand Slam, it's Darby versus Mox for basically being the #1 contender or getting that paper that says you get to fight Brian.
Which Brian's got no friends. That's what I'm learning.
A crying Wheeler Yuta.
Yeah, who probably will end up turning. So a couple things. So first off, I guess with this hostile, I don't know. I guess there's a couple ways we can go. So, this is a hostile takeover, right? That's what we're calling it, right? He's like, this is not your company anymore. That's the whole angle that the new BCC is going with. So first off, I asked this last week. We haven't seen it yet. Now it's proven that Darby probably is not going to be in it. But will there be more members to this new BCC group? You know, we talked last week, and you kind of theorized about maybe Shane McMahon with all those,
Here comes the money.
Like, I don't know, Steven. That photo is like throwing up the back signal on the show.
Yeah, every time Tony Khan has a problem, let's just shove a box there. Let's just shove a Darby there. Again, Darby couldn't walk, and they put him in the blood and guts match. It's like they're like pulling his emergency button. So,
again, will there be, going back to the point, like my question at hand, do you think there'll be more members? If so, who?
I think Daniel Garcia would be great, but I feel like he's on this little babyface run right now. But again, we wanted him to join the original BCC. It was like
I was like Wardlow. Wardlow.
Oh, poor Wardlow! Stop putting it in stables that mean nothing.
Wardlow's a guy who could be like. I mean, oh yeah, he's also in. Is he in? He's in United, but like, I don't really care.
Yeah, but we haven't seen him with them. Is he injured? We haven't seen them with UK in a while.
Sure.
But no. But like Will Hobbs would have been a good one, but he's injured. But I'm thinking like what's like young lower mid card heel that you can just kind of, you know, do the opposite. Like Yuta was like this up and coming like babyface man. Yeah. And then they snatched him. So who was like a I mean, again, I said it last week. Him, like Marina choking out Commander. Yeah, I love Mox and Marina together so much, so much.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But I think maybe my money's on. I think Wardlow would be a nice piece if he's healthy to kind of throw in there. But I don't know. It'd be really interesting to see. You know, moving forward. The other thing that I think about now is, and maybe just because we're 90s kids growing up in this whole WCW, NWO, Attitude Era craze, but like, is Darby Allin channeling his like 90s Crow Sting? Is that because you have this new BCC group, you have the Elite, which Mox, like, where does Mox stand with all that, right? You're trying to take over the company, but the Elite technically run the company, right? So where does that all stand?
Well, he made the comment to Jack Perry, who's with the Elite. He's like, oh, I don't care what they say. You're still a good kid. I just maybe he just hates.
Potentially. But, so, I mean, I just kind of get the vibe of, like, and there's rumors coming out that, Tony wants to put the belt ultimately on Darby, which I wouldn't be
Meltzer
opposed to.
said this week or yesterday that got shelved.
All right. Well, I mean, if you ever had a thought of doing it, I wouldn't be opposed to it. If you ever had a thought of doing it, maybe a Sting-like angle where he's a loner, but he's just, not with anybody, but he's destroying people with his skateboard, I guess.
I just feel like we've seen that, though. Like, we've seen
Ed said he was channeling him right before he was.
Yeah, and then he ran around with Sting for 3 years.
Yeah.
There's so many promos and things of, like, Cody calling, like, where's Darby's dad? And talking about Sting. Like, I don't. And then why is he crying about Jon Moxley? Like, your Lord and Savior is the Stinger. Like, don't be upset about Jon Moxley. That's your guy.
Well, now he's gone. Now he wants someone who
he was here 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, just to come help him from getting burned alive. Burning up. So I don't know. We'll see. I mean, maybe that's an angle to get him some sort of push. You got to try something to try and build up more main eventers. I feel like they don't, or organic main eventers, not ex WWE guys that you're trying to just bring in. So not really sure.
I just feel like at this point, I feel like Darby needs to be off our screens for a little bit because it's like, oh, he, got hit by a bus and he was back a week later. And then he broke his foot and he couldn't climb Mount Everest, so he's back the next week. Like, he's had all these injuries and all the stuff that he does, which also his programming says. He's like, people are like, slow down. You're going to be able to wrestle when you're 40. He's like, I love AEW. It's like, those 2 sentences not connected.
I love AEW, that I'll kill myself so that I don't wrestle more than 2 more years here. I don't know. So, from one challenge, let's see. I'm sure Rick O'Shea has been a game changer. I know. Well, we can get into that maybe later when you call in if you like. But from one challenge to another, Brian Danielson, sorry, made that mistake, just cannot get any friends. Whether it's people in his group, people not in his group, even the announcers want a piece of Brian Danielson.
Because Brian Danielson is afraid of me. He is afraid of the one match that everybody wants to see. But Tony Khan isn't afraid. Tony Khan knows a money match when he sees one. So at Grand Slam, it will be Brian Danielson. Take a breath, Brian. Against Nigel McGuinness!
Oh my God.
Nigel McGuinness.
Before we get into how convoluted the previous segment and this is, I just want to relish in that promo and him wrestling again, his glow up from when he used to be, because he talked about him being ROH champion, and the glow up that he's had. I am just so excited because we were supposed to get this at last All In, but Brian was injured. So we're finally getting it now. Hopefully. Again, they keep saying if he's cleared. So when he first said it, I was like, like screaming because I want to see that match so bad. But then you go back and we just talked about the previous promo, and I was like, well, this seems like a weird way to convoluted, ham-fisted, backwards booking. Because it was supposed
Steve said AEW booking convoluted. Imagine that.
I know, because I'm like, I would love to see it. I hope Brian could be possibly cleared, or maybe it'd be more of an angle than a match. I would want to see it doesn't have to be a half-hour extravaganza. Like, I'll take an 8-minute match.
So I don't know much about. I wasn't watching Ring of Honor back in the aughts when McGuinness and Danielson were such big
back and rewatch
factors, but I'm sure you did. So I have YouTube wormholes. Nikki has just wrestling wormholes upon wrestling wormholes.
I mean,
that she probably goes through on YouTube for anyway. But this started in 2005. So you're talking about almost 20 years, 2 decades long since this has happened. So with McGuinness and Danielson, 2 guys that are compared, this was, I think, researching and reading the article on AEW was a lot around the pure title, which I don't know. Now I'm actually learning more about what the pure title rules are. But they put banger after banger on in Ring of Honor, and now they're trying to duplicate it on a bigger scale. And the one thing I will say is, yeah, like Tony Khan, like kind of to his point, he knows the money, like he knows how to get the names and to book the names. Like Mercedes Britt was a name match that I want to say.
This better be better than that.
No, but what I'm saying is, like, he puts his money where his mouth is. Maybe the storylines and build-ups aren't great, but he at least gets the names to put the matches together. You know, the Osprey Omega type matches, like some of that stuff. The build-up's not great, but the matches, like you get to see the matches.
I just want to see the promo packages they could do, because he has love him. He has all the footage. So just imagine the promo packages that they can put together.
It says, "Don't worry, Nick. No one was watching Ring of Honor."
No. Literally, I had a lot of free time between 2016 and 2018. I rewatched a lot of stuff. But I don't know. Again, it's real convoluted to get here, because it was really like he's like, "Oh, you can't have that match anymore. So you're gonna give me your title shot," and I'm like, "Oh, we'll fight for it at Grand Slam." And then 20 minutes later, Nigel comes out and it's like, "We're wrestling."
Well, also, I mean, Nigel challenged, and you also have Christian looming, who opened the show. So there's like 3 contracts. Apparently, this is like, you ever see the movie Smoking Aces? It's with Jeremy Piven. It's like the dumbest movie. There's a guy, he basically is like a rat for the mob or something like that. So they put out a contract on him to every hitman. And it's like he's in this hotel, and every hitman is trying to get the contract to kill him so that they can get the money. And it's like, that's kind of how I feel Bryan Danielson is right now. It's like literally he's got no friends. Everyone wants his belt or to end his career. And it's just really terrible. So like, I guess my question is, it's going to happen. All good things must come to an end. Who should take the belt off Bryan Danielson?
Sidestepping. I think there is some back and forth online. If the match between Nigel and Bryan does go through, is it for the belt or not? So I don't think anyone said. Like on the promo, he just said, like you just said, it was like, "Oh, it's a match at Double or Nothing." I don't know. Maybe if anyone
that would be kind of a little bait and switch.
Yeah. Well, again, if the match isn't going to happen, then you don't have to, I don't know. But I don't want it to be Darby. I can tell you that right now. I still want it to be Swerve. I want it to be at Wrestle Dream and have the 2 Seattle, or not necessarily Seattle, like Washington kids. But I think Swerve taking time off after that craziness, to put it mildly. I don't know. I don't want it to be Christian. I don't want it to be Darby. Like, list more people I don't necessarily. I think it needs to be someone like Swerve or Hangman. Give it to like I don't say like up and coming, because they're not necessarily up and coming, but like a new, like Mox doesn't need it. Christian doesn't need it. Give it to someone that is going to mean something, and that's why I thought Swerve should have won. In All In, so you got to go into go out.
Ed seems to think, is it Mox? Ed might
Mox didn't need it. I guess it's the storyline of I retired Bryan Danielson, blue, 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 blue. But I don't. Does Mox need it though? I said that about Sami Zayn winning Mania. I was like, was it a fun? And that promo, we were all like, ah. Would I have liked it to be someone that meant maybe a little more? I don't know.
I mean, imagine if it was Christian, I feel like people wouldn't riot. People would just stop watching.
Oh my god, when he was like, "You're gonna wish Brie had CTE," and I was like, "Oh god." Also, real quick, going back to McGuinness, when he's like, oh, you're in an iron lung, you're gasping for air like Justin Roberts did, and I was like, just a little.
So Ed thinks that Billy Ostrich needed passing the torch as the best wrestler. Maybe. But yeah, I mean, if you're saying it's like 4 or 5 months from now, maybe that's probably good. Does Ospreay become a double champion?
I don't know. I guess because you're right. When Ospreay would be, Kyle Fletcher. I'm slowly falling in love with Kyle Fletcher a little more.
As world champion?
No, I'm saying if you're talking about like down the road, who's an upcoming? I don't know. He's an Ospreay. I thought Fletcher. I'm sorry.
So, well, I'm glad you brought that up because Ospreay and Fletcher, as we round out our AEW portion of the segment, are now. So they're called United Kingdom, right? They were the United Kingdom.
Oh.
Ospreay and Fletcher in
United Embassy.
United Embassy,
right? Yeah, no.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Empire. There you go.
United Empire. Okay.
Because Undisputed Kingdom is Taven, Bennett, Roddy, Adam, that group. So yeah, thank you, Ed.
So ultimately, we end with the tag team titles being defended at. You talk about All In or All Out? No.
Yes, go in to go out.
In, out, then. I almost called it Wembley. Grand Slam. Oh my gosh. Arthur Ashe.
Yeah, there's so many things. And then in October is Wrestle Dream.
So with now skipping forward with Fletcher and Ospreay being the number 1 contenders for the World Tag Team titles, which will happen at Arthur Ashe. I guess I know it's not I almost called it a PLE, but I know it's not a pay-per-view. But could AEW Grand Slam be the show of the year for AEW? Like the way they're booking it, Young Bucks against Ospreay, Fletcher is going to be a good match. And that, that to start, I think Darby Mox will be, Darby always does crazy stuff. Those two will probably be pretty violent.
I think that's
if it's Danielson Nigel, those are some some good matches that it could very well steal the show.
No.
Not selling you on it, huh?
No. Sorry, Skip.
Well, wrapping up.
No.
Wrapping up the Bryan.
Wrong.
It'll be so. Steven thinks it'll be Bryan's decision, whoever it is, to take the belt off of him.
Yeah. I just want them to have a good match.
You just hope they both have fun.
Yeah. We're all having fun here at Happy Hour.
We always have fun at the Happy Hour. As we're getting ready for our final portion here. So, it leads us into SmackDown for this evening. Before we open up the phone lines, recapping a little bit, not really a little bit, but just taking a look forward after last week. We opened the show saying, listen, Jacob Fatu has stepped up. So let's take a look a little bit. It was a week ago as we look forward to tonight's debut on, oh my gosh, USA. I have to get, they're not on Netflix, but tonight's SmackDown debut on the USA Network. Re-debut, yes. Whatever.
Right? Yeah, we're on USA for a little bit. But we'll get to it.
But as I like to call this one, hungry like the Samoan werewolf.
Stuck in a city, night is a wire. Steam in a subway, earth is a fire. Woman, you want me, give me a sign. It catch my breathing, juices like wine, and I'm hungry like the wolf.
Yes, we are hungry like the wolf as
So-
Jacob Fatu steps up to Cody Rhodes. Nikki, the cracks in the foundation are forming as we head towards Survivor Series War Games. I'm gonna get a cut of that. I'm just gonna
You
get
have to.
I-
I can't.
I should have done that. Well, it'll come.
Kind of. No, is it too early for this though? We're supposed to have this War Games match. Keep it together, sister. 2 more months.
So bring us back as we are a little over an hour out of SmackDown. And as we mentioned, the debut, whoops, knocking stuff over here.
And he yells at me.
The debut or re-return, re-debut, whatever you want to call it, on the USA Network. So the premiere. We're calling it the premiere. So last week, we saw Cody call out the Bloodline because Solo has laid claim to the next title shot.
Yeah.
So they're going back and forth, and ultimately, I'm paraphrasing here, but Cody says he's looking for someone to step outside the shadow of the tribal chief who's trying to keep them down. And like Solo's all like, well, it's me. Definitely me. And he's like, not you. And he's like, Jacob Fatu, step up. And he's no bitch. He ain't gonna take that. So Jacob Fatu steps up and gets closer, ever so closer to Cody Rhodes until Solo talks him off the ledge.
My cup is excited.
So the cracks in the foundation are forming. Ultimately, later in the evening, we see Jacob just go full Jacob on everybody and just destroy the whole, basically, SmackDown roster. DIY, Street Profits, who just also got destroyed again on NXT this week. Good job. So the question now becomes, will Jacob Fatu turn on Solo Sikoa? Is that the angle that this is going?
What do you think? I think it'd make more sense if they can hold it together than does he turn in the War Games match and then aligns himself with Roman.
It's so.
You see so many photos that, like, again, we have Hikalea in the background. People are saying maybe they'll bring in Zilla. Then I feel like there's another one running around.
There's like a million of them. Like,
I don't know. I just feel like this is a little too early. And then also, so I guess you want to talk that, like, Solo was like, nah, basically.
with
Jacob.
yeah, no, he talked him off the ledge. That's
Mhm.
like he basically, was like, listen, it's not your time, not your time here, and he falls back, and this is the scene as we open SmackDown from last week. So, yeah, I guess the question is, will he turn? Because I mean, the thing that's interesting about Jacob is that, and this has changed a bit in the last couple maybe years since Triple H started booking, but like Jacob's doing a lot of, like, he did Whispers in the Wind, and he's done like a lot of high flying moves, and those are often associated with the faces. I know you hate when I go face
Yeah.
heel, but he's done a lot of things that have been geared more towards what a baby face would do. So I think ultimately, yeah, it's interesting because of how he is wrestled in the ring, like the pop-up, Tiff Stratton calls it like the PME or whatever. Like, it's a similar concept. Like he's high flying, it looks good, and people get into it, like, because it looks great. So I don't know. Those are very face like moves. So there could be a turn coming for him, but I think he, as like Jacob, as he's so much more valuable as a heel, as a monster heel that just destroys everybody.
And I feel like we really haven't seen that much of it. Like we have, but I want like more. again, I think it's too early to turn. I didn't think it'd be foolish to turn him face so quickly. I feel like you need to.
Would it be Jewel? Foolish Games?
It could be. Oh, you made a War Games joke.
Yeah. Foolish Games.
Kids, these are the jokes. I don't know. But I guess it really leads you to tonight. Triple H announced that because it's a steel cage match between Cody and Solo for the belt. It's opening SmackDown. So we're ending this at 7:50 so I can go.
So again, being the return to USA, the season premiere, now you mention it, they're opening. Does Roman Reigns return?
You asked me this afternoon, I guess, and my first instinct was like, no, too early. But then again, it is the premiere debut re-release of SmackDown USA. It is opening. Then what are they closing with? Would that be Roman Reigns coming back? Would Roman Reigns interrupt here?
I think Roman interrupts, leaves, and then the whole rest of the night they look for him.
I just think originally my first instinct was no, it's too early because they're not going to have, and again, famous last words. My Nick October WrestleMania birthday extravaganza, it's only going to be 5 matches. You already got 3, potentially 4. Like, this feels like a Raw pay-per-view, to be honest with you. They're not.
The last couple ones have been Raw pay-per-views.
I don't think they're going to have a Bloodline thing at Bad Blood because it's not a blow-off sort of deal. I think it'd be interesting to bring him back tonight, but then not have anything on the next pay-per-view. But then they released the poster today or yesterday of the Survivor Series, or maybe it was Monday. The Survivor Series poster, and Roman Reigns is on it. But I think him coming back after Bad Blood, because then you can lead into Survivor Series. But I guess it's also the premiere, and they're building up when the NXT moves to CW in 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Like, they're building that thing up. Again, they went commercial free this hour for Raw because it's the premiere.
That'd be nice if it was commercial free again.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't remember. I just know Triple H tweeted that the cage match is opening. Also, we didn't really touch this, kind of backtracking. In 3 weeks, when the deal is up, technically with USA, they have this little bitty contract before they go to Netflix. They're going back to 2 hours. It's gonna be 8 to 10.
I know, that'd be fun.
Oh, I can't wait. I know I feel bad because it's like less time because I can cut out a lot of stuff I don't care about. Sorry, PFC. Natty. Oh, my women's division. Why? But it'd be nice to go back to 8 to 10.
So you made the comment about the women's division. So just going on SmackDown, we did see earlier on SmackDown last week, Tiffany Stratton actually did take the L in a match due to Queen Nia, your favorite.
Oh,
Do I get to do it? Yeah.
Yes, Queen.
It's been a while since we got to drop that one.
Is it too? I don't know. Is it too early for Tiffany to cash in? I don't want her to be like the first woman to like cash in and fail.
Well, could that be the big twist for tonight? Maybe there's no Roman.
That's me. That'd be amazing. I don't think they would do that, but that would mean this is Tiffany cashes in, gets the title, and then Charlotte Flair walks out. I think that's her Mania match. But I would want Tiffany to get the belt off Charlotte, so I really don't know how that works unless they play sweet potatoes. Sweet
potato?
Yeah.
It's a new game.
It'd be great if they closed out tonight with a women's thing. Like, it's not going to happen, though, unfortunately. Again, I'd rather be happy than right. So prove me wrong, H.
Yeah. Yeah.
Something with LA, like I don't know. I just feel like the mid card of I feel like we would really like like the SmackDown 6 and like when they split again, like that 2016 roster of like that was good.
I know what it is. I know exactly how we're closing tonight. The only way you need a star, right?
Oh God, help us all.
Giovanni Vinci.
Oh, poor little pickle baby.
There he is, competing the only way he knows how to, on his back.
Like Kaiser, I don't know if it was in like kayfabe or not, or shoot work, but Kaiser shit on him in an interview. And then they have this, we were going to bring back your NXT character, Vinny Vici, blah, 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 you're this model, here's your big debut, and you lose to Apollo Crews. I'm going to roll up and
They should turn Maxine Dupree heel again and put her with him.
No, I love her. Otis, how dare you? Let him have a blonde by his side. I don't know. I feel bad for him, but
she is a blonde.
No, I want a blonde by Otis. I don't.
Otis blonde by his side.
Stop taking his blondes away. Anyways,
and then just as a small takeaway, you mentioned LA Knight. So apparently there is U.S. title intrigue, but LA Knight just basically destroyed the guys that are going through a best of 7 series to compete with him.
And I love LA Knight, but this mid card, like I don't care about Andrade. I don't care about Delgado. I don't care about Apollo Crews.
No, it's not Legado del Fantasma, but it's Santos.
Oh yeah. See, I don't even remember his name. Like I don't. Carmelo Hayes has been terrible on Maine. They ruined. I want like NXT Baron Corbin. Put him back with Breaker. There's no mid card for LA Knight to feud with it. There's no threat there.
Yeah, no, I mean, most mid cards. I feel like there's not many mid card threats because you have the main guy. I mean, Raw's doing well. Yeah, look at
the IC. Like I believe any one of those. Like Ilya Braun, I'm excited to see. It's a little early. I keep booking Mania. Like that's a Mania match. Like you talk about Bronson Reed. Like Jey Uso, technically, like Dom, like that, how that ranking goes, because he was North American champion. They're all North American. Was Andrade North American, or was he got my North American? But obviously, Mello was. Didn't he go from that? I don't whatever. But, like, there seems like a more of a mid-card. Again, maybe it's because of the extra hour. Maybe we'll have to see when they cut an hour. But, like, there's the Bloodline stuff. You have LA Knight, like you have Nia Tiffy. What else? There's like hiccup.
Maybe it's just because it's a 2-hour show. I don't know. The tag team division is just kind of getting run through by the Bloodline.
Tonight, you do have KO and a mystery partner versus A-Town Down. We're assuming it's Randy.
Well, I guess because, I guess last week. They left him laying, so he needs another. Even though he's beaten them, I think. I guess it was a triple threat that happened, but a couple weeks ago. But
he's upset about them losing to Cody, so that's why they beat him. I don't know.
What do you all think of SmackDown? Are you excited for the re-debut on USA, the season premiere tonight? Let us know. We are opening up the phone lines.
Call in and tell me how we are excited about Bad Blood in my birthday.
Exactly.
Nicktober. I'd rather that than Nickelmania. I really didn't. That's your thing. I'll take over October.
You want Nicktober?
Yeah.
All right. Fair enough. Well, that being said, let's open up the phone lines. If you all want to chime in, let us know what you're thinking, what you're drinking, what you thought about this past week in professional wrestling, AEW, WWE, a lot to get through. We want to hear from all of you. If you want to call in, the link is below. It says call in, and then it's got a little link. So, fun. So, that being said, the phone lines, Nikki, officially open. All right, Nikki.
Huh?
Let's start with an oldie, but a goodie. No, I don't want to say oldie. That's a bad term. A regular. You use it when we use term. You say like the classic hits. The classic hits. That's what we're calling it. If you want to call in and be a new hit, we'd love to have you. But first, we go with the regulars. You say his name, and he appears.
Oh,
But you have to say it with a little bit of a ba-ba-ba-da-boo.
I'm a scat man. I'm a scat
Bring him on.
Good evening, everybody.
What's going on? What are you drinking? What are you thinking, Steve?
Yeah. I remember from last week, it was requested that I use a Wilson avatar, so there you go.
thank you. I love it.
Touche, Steve. Touche.
So do you think Mox, out of respect for Bryan Danielson, made sure that plastic bag was recycled after?
No, he ripped it off. He ripped it off and it was around his neck.
Oh, that's no excuse for polluting. You got to throw it in the bin. Throw it in the blue bin.
I just don't know how you how do you fake that? You can't, right? You can't fake it, right?
There could have been holes in it.
I guess maybe.
I don't know, but I was just like, oh God.
I mean, it was a pretty thin plastic bag.
Yeah, I don't know.
Is it something you practice?
Here, let me suffocate you.
Yeah. Yeah, let's try it out live.
Any volunteers?
You practice the crazy shit they do.
But really, I mean, I was watching that, and then the Swerve and Page match with the hypodermic needle. I'm really still not sure, even though they got a little bump in the ratings this week, piggybacking off of that. I'm not sure if the audience was into that, or if they were like, oh my God, what are they doing? You know, if they were just like horrified to the point that like, why would they do this?
Yeah. Is it just shock value, or is it, like, yeah, this is something different? Like, yeah, did they practice the hypodermic needle? I don't think so.
Well, just kidding. We're the alternative. If you don't like it, don't watch it. That's what, Vince was like, oh, this is all blood and guts. So they named their big thing blood and guts. Like, I don't think they give a what. Did you think it was too much?
I don't know. The needle was like probably a bit much. I mean, I don't know. And the plastic bag, I mean, for the length of time that went on, I don't know. I mean, remember, I'm used to watching a lot of the old ECW stuff from back in the day where, I mean, they got pretty seriously violent. I don't recall anything like this on those shows. Definitely not a needle.
Yeah. I
may be forgetting about a plastic bag somewhere along the way. I mean, we're talking, it was almost 30 years ago now, but I don't know. They certainly didn't show a predilection to go in that direction mostly before.
Yeah. I believe I was into like the staple gun spot was a little, they're picking the staples out. Like that was like once they got to the needle part.
Ed's chiming in. I know Ed's on the line too. Terry Funk used a plastic bag on Ric Flair, apparently.
I vaguely remember that. yeah, probably the more I think about it, the clearer it'll become. But yeah, I do kind of remember that now.
But then you associate Terry Funk with being the the hardcore legend, what they call him, the grandfather of hardcore, or is that somebody else?
Yeah. No, I think that's right. That sounds right.
I don't know, but it's just like you associate that with him. I guess Mox being that brutal character. Like I was fine with it when at first I was like, oh my god, and then I'm like, all right, like I got to get the bag off his head now. Like I agree with you, that went too long. And with this swerve match, hangman match, I was there until the needles. I was like, all right, this is like I'm not like, oh, I'm not gonna watch this again, cancel AEW, but I was like, that's a smidge too far for me.
Especially again, I know like it's like watch at your own discretion, but like if kids are watching, it's like everyone's like wants to, even if you're fake wrestling, backyard wrestling, like you're like, oh, I could do this. Yeah, it's a slippery slope.
It can be, yeah. And I understand that they're probably harkening back not just to the Terry Funk matches, but to all those super violent death matches that they had in Japan, and I think they still have to some degree. I don't think they were necessarily invoking like Nick Gage or Necro Butcher or anybody like that.
Oh, Nick Gage, you mean friend? Nice name drop. Friend of the show.
It's Nick Gage, MDK Jelly, and you're watching the Nick Club Wrestling Happy Hour. MDK all fucking day.
Is there a way to fix that video so we can see?
More of it. Yeah, I'll figure out a way.
Well, you can't see the dog, and he introduces the dog, which is super cute.
Yes, the man who almost killed David Arquette.
Oh, well, David Arquette did not sign up for that match. He didn't know he was going to come into.
Unbelievable. So, Steve, what else you got for us?
I don't know who. I almost dead named him. I don't know who Bryan Danielson should to drop the belt. Who he should drop the belt to, other than it should be his decision, as I said earlier. But I do know that his final match in AEW, and I would think as a full-time wrestler, I'm still not sure if he's ending being a full-time wrestler or if he's retiring, period, should be against Nigel. One-on-one. I don't know what they're going for with this Grand Slam thing. They'll have these, like, if they're going to have a gauntlet or a five-way match or whatever, but they're Daniel. I did it again. Bryan.
I did it 3 times already in the show. It's really difficult to do.
That's all right. He'll be back, and we can go back to using the old name. Bryan Danielson's last match at all under AEW should be against Nigel, one-on-one, strictly win or lose.
So, Steve, like we were talking about this earlier, like have you watched, like were you into the Ring of Honor like stuff, like are you a historian on those matches?
I picked up on those later because I only knew Ring of Honor as it was I don't think I realized how highly regarded they were. I just knew them as a promotion that would show up every so often at the Raritan Center in Edison. And that was that. And only several years later, not that long ago, in fact, did I realize their history and the legacy that they've had, Tyler Black, AJ Styles, etc., Samoa Joe, Punk. So I've made it a point, I'm kind of trailing off on that lately, to try to catch up on some of the older stuff on YouTube. I know they released a series of DVDs, none of which I have of their their greatest matches and their big time cards. So I did see some of the Danielson Nigel match. I think that was at least half an hour. That's some really good stuff that came out of there.
Yeah, I imagine that again, from what I've heard from Nigel, like great technical wrestlers, like going to be a phenomenon. Kind of, I imagine like just not going in and having watched any of it. It's similar like what you'd expect from Zack Sabre Jr. Danielson, something along those lines, and which is great. So like, yeah, I'm all for it. I just, again, like I know he's been announcing for a while. I don't know how big. Like, is it a needle mover for the company? Like, it's one of those like I feel like again Tony gets into his like mark phases, and he's like he fantasy books great like great matches. He does all the time. He fantasy books great matches, and you're like, oh, I would love to see like the Mercedes. I said it, Mercedes Britt. I wanted to see it. The buildup was not good, but
neither was the match.
Yeah, like Osprey, Omega, like, but again, like I don't think the Rock Hogan match was great, but that was the match I wanted to see. Like, sometimes you need the names to face off against each other, and that's like he ponies up the dough to do that. It's just I don't know if he's ponying up the dough in his writing team. That's what he really probably needs to focus on, or else because a lot of these are big money matches with the right build up. These are he's got it right there,
and hopefully he, oh, who am I kidding? He's not learning anything as he's going. I can just imagine he was thinking of this match, and he's making the contract, and no, I can't say that. That's too terrible. No, not. But he was having like a 20-minute tantric orgasm drawing up that contract.
That's exactly the face he made. Nigel's face.
Yeah.
Hoping that the history, and again, I said it before, the promo packages that they can make with all the ROH archives, because they have it, and at least Nigel can talk and Brian can talk. Like Mercedes can't talk. Bridget came back. Like it didn't gel. Like this coming back, I feel would gel. But I don't. Then if Nigel takes the belt off Brian, is Nigel gonna like lose it quickly afterwards, or are you gonna have him have a run with it?
I don't think he should lose the belt to Nigel. I think he should lose it before that, and then have the final match against Nigel, no belt, just bragging rights and farewell, and then that's that, right off into the sunset.
Then he wouldn't be sticking to his stipulation, because he said when he loses the belt, he's done.
Yeah, well, no one sticks to the retirement deals.
He was supposed to retire after the Swerve match, win or lose, wasn't he?
No, I think
I think it was only lost.
It was belt for his career, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Yeah, like Swerve had to win.
And he's working without I unless I missed it, I believe he's working without a contract.
Correct.
So could end at any time, and I certainly hope for Nigel's sake that they really, really made sure that he's cleared.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sure that they. I mean,
agree, but also that match does not mean blood.
Yeah.
Again, of course, it can happen accidentally, and again, I'm assuming they're doing all these testing done, and he still doesn't know. We think that guy messed him up, and he didn't have the guy tested negative or whatever the documentary said. I don't remember off the top of my head, but I'm assuming it's going to be all good. But again, I hope their match doesn't get like bloody, because then that does leave a kind of like bad taste.
Well, we shall see. Steve, last shot before we let you go.
Last shot before the inevitable Darby rant. Yeah. I know he's there. I saw him. That's okay. I love to hear it. What exactly is a Pure Fusion Collective anyway?
Sounds like a drink.
Actually, it probably is a drink.
It's like a
collective of drinks. Yes.
Drinks.
It's a mixed drink.
We should do that on my birthday. We have to. Everyone makes their own cocktail with their Pure Fusion Collective.
That actually is a great idea.
It just comes out some strange shade of blue.
We have to create on the show the Pure Fusion Collective cocktail.
Yeah, there would be. It'd be like your shampoo.
No, but it has to be
body wash.
Not to like make it like weird, but like it has to be because remember they say like no men can take us home, so it has to be the not so cocktail. Come on.
Boo.
Really? I got a boo out of that one.
I didn't even have sound effects. I did that live.
I know. Steve, on that note, you,
So
sir.
long, ladies and gents.
Pleasure as always. You, sir, are cut off. All right. Are you ready for the, as Steven likes to put it, inevitable? It is inevitable. The inevitable rant. I want to know. Let's find out. What's in Ed's head? Because he hasn't been here in a while, we're throwing it back on. Run it back. Encore, ladies and gentlemen. Ed!
Hey, what's going on, guys? How's everything?
Good, good. What's in your head, Ed?
Oh, that's a great question. Honestly, with all this buildup, I feel like I should have came prepared with just a hateful rant, but I.
Well, before you start, Steven wants you to know that he just imagined you pacing in circles in his room waiting for this moment.
It couldn't be any farther from the truth. I actually don't care. I just don't like Darby as a person. I think I mean, like we've had this conversation. I think his aesthetic works. I think like if he wasn't paying homeless people like $1 to like dunk their heads into like full toilets, he'd be somebody you could push for a brand.
What about his fake? Did you hear about his fake MTV? You remember that show? It was back in like maybe.
Oh, are you talking about like my sex life brought me to the ER or whatever?
He got apparently he made up a sex story to get on MTV's I got hurt during sex or something like that.
Yeah, they I mean that was something like LA Knight's been on reality shows too. It's one of those like they're independent contractors and they're out where they're out, so they're just looking to make whatever money they can to pay rent,
Exactly.
So it makes sense. But yeah, it's still one of those things to me, just like you guys were talking about it before, who takes the belt off of Bryan. It sounds like they're going to look like to give it to Darby. You know what I mean? Like it sounds like he's going to end up being that guy. I feel like that's what the line where Moxley was like, "You're not ready yet." Well, he's going to be by this time next year, or at least they think so. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's the long game with him. Like I said it earlier, like I don't know if you caught it at that point in time, but like I think it's like a Sting deal. Like they're gonna have him like sitting in the rafters like a weird like loner for the next like 6 months, and then until like he'll periodically come out and be like the justice vengeance, like
I don't know if they'd run that back, honestly. I mean they already teamed him up with Sting, and like Nikki was saying earlier, Cody was always like, where's your dad, Darby? I mean, and you could replace the lyrics of his song too, like Sting. Like I feel like we've been there, we've done that.
Yeah.
We should do something else with him. But honestly, I feel like he needs like a finishing school or something, because like don't put a microphone near that guy's mouth.
I know. Yeah, John.
What you Ed? You don't like me, Ed? You were my hero at one point in time. You like everybody. I went through puberty.
Yeah,
I learned I couldn't buy cigarettes, and I got really upset.
Yeah, it's one of those like that whole segment. I was just waiting for Moxley to just choke him to death with a plastic bag. I'm a little sad it never came, but it is what it is. But not for nothing, I did want to bring up. I don't know how I feel 100% about Moxley's new character, but it's the Moxley of old from like the indies before his run in WWE. I've been waiting for this like calm, cool, collected, and it like this calm, cool, collected person that seems like he could kill you at any point, right? Like you might beat him in a wrestling match, but he's waiting for you in the parking lot to light you on fire. And I'm glad we're getting a version of that. It's kind of fun, but in the same breath, it's kind of lame that he's talking to Shivani where he's supposed to be talking directly to Tony Khan. But it's kind of neat that he's looking to take over. Like I love the promo where he's like, Brian, we talked about building something and doing all these things. and we didn't. And like, we tried diplomacy, and now it's time for war.
Yeah.
I feel like this is what this group should have been the whole time.
Yeah. I mean, they're supposed to be fighters, right? Like they're supposed to be like.
Yeah, they're supposed to be like legit shoot fighters. And like, what has the BCC done this whole time?
Like we said last week, like Regal leaving kind of shot them in the foot, and then
Absolutely.
Bryan being injured for a while, and then poor Moxley was supposed to get a vacation day that I don't think he kind of sort of did, but
Supposed to get a vacation. I mean, like, yeah, no, people totally should, get time off, heal up, all that jazz. But it's like, they're talking about this group like, oh no, they're gonna break up or they beat up the guy. But what have they done? I mean, and I can ask that about
even on his vacation, Moxley was still bleeding somewhere.
Oh, absolutely. He's probably bleeding right now. Are you kidding me? The guy's shoveling Costco hot dogs into his mouth as we speak. Like,
is that a thing that he
it's just a meme online. Like I just, you see a bunch of memes of him just eating hot dogs. I don't know if it's just because he looks like a guy that just, his diet is just hot dogs and, what used to be beer, I guess, is now water. But
yeah, that's fair.
I'm hoping Renee's keeping him alive somehow.
Oh, she has.
Renee.
I mean, he doesn't have a cell phone. I mean, she's got to be the point of contact for something, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, for every one good thing AEW is doing, it's like you guys were saying, all the builds I can't say all the builds, but a lot of the builds are just bad.
Yeah.
Like you said earlier that, Tony Khan is good at getting the names there, but like, I'd be good at getting the names there if I had if I had the pocketbook for it or the checkbook for it. Like, getting the two marquee names there is one thing, but like booking the story so people care is a completely different thing. And I get it that, he's booking, like he said it before, he's booking for the sickos, but like, I'm also a hardcore wrestling fan.
Well, here's the problem. There's a few sickos and there's a lot of people. and
no, exactly. That's
the sickos aren't the ones with all the money that are going to pay for advertising and everything else.
Yeah. That's kind of where I was going with this, right? It's like, I'm also a hardcore wrestling fan. So seeing seeing Nigel getting this like one last match with Bryan, like that's going to be awesome. And it's something to like if you're not familiar with it, there's somebody on YouTube. It's why I was stopping. I was seeing if I could pull the name of the channel, but he did it like a quote unquote documentary. It's really just him explaining the like the 4 or 5 matches that they had, and like the story going into it, and the just the story of their matches and where things went. I believe he ends up, ultimately taking the ROH world title off of Bryan, because then Bryan's on his way to WWE. So it's kind of a way to write him out. But like, it's good. It's really interesting. It's good, like mid-aughts pro wrestling, especially in a time, when there was no other competition. So like, I even know myself, like I was watching TNA weekly pay-per-views, so they just wanted something else that wasn't just WWE.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, so in terms of like what you saw in them, it was a lot of like what I'd expect, like what I said, like Sabre, Danielson now, like a little bit more of that.
It's a general progression of what ECW was going to be, right? So if you watch like the dying days of ECW, there's a lot less hardcore stuff and there's a lot more like technical wrestling, and they start bringing in some other people. It's a lot of like what the indie scene was going to become. Which, like, I say all of that because Gabe Sapolsky was, wow, I'm drawing a blank now, was Paul Heyman's protege.
Mm-hmm.
So, had ECW not gone under, it would have been what Ring of Honor became.
That's fair. Yeah. I'm sure I'll be impressed when I do see the match, but I think, it's well done, but like, I don't have the nostalgic factor with Nigel McGuinness that everybody else seems to have. That probably watched Ring of Honor. You know what I mean?
And that goes back to what Steven was saying. We're going back 20 years. So like, okay, did you watch Ring of Honor in 2004? Like, not a lot of people did. I was one of the people that was like tuning in and out, but I was more of like a WWE TNA guy because ROH was harder to find.
People like kind of like came to it late, and like not until like weirdly when Cody left and got with the Young Bucks and all that stuff, and I was like, what is this ROH stuff? And then like went back down the rabbit hole. So I had a lot of time on my hands back then.
Yes, so there are people that like are nostalgic for this, but like the people that have the nostalgia for it are few and far between at this point. So is it a big money match? I don't know. Is it cool to see these two guys get a send off? Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's. I mean, I think that's the point, right? It's like everyone wants that feel good moment with all their big wrestlers, and like Danielson will get that, and it seems like he's getting his goodbye tour. Like Sting got his goodbye tour, right? Like with a belt in it. Like everyone seems to get a goodbye tour. It's the participation trophy belt.
Yeah, I think that's, and to your I guess bringing that up too is like, there's so many guys that are still around that I would love to see get their goodbye, their farewell tour. Like I'm gonna be bummed out if like the Hardys, the last thing they do is their TNA run currently.
No, yeah, I think that I get the feeling they're gonna have them back. It's like now knowing that like maybe it's like with NXT doing all these things and like the Motor City Machine Guns that was announced this week is probably going to report to NXT. I think there's a lot more DIYs phenomenal. Street Profits are good. Like there's a good tag division that like they could chime in. Like what if honestly, not that I want to say this, but like I wouldn't be shocked if like at some point in time like one of the teams that helps out Cody Rhodes or somebody with the Bloodline is like the Hardys. Like the Hardys and like Randy Orton or something.
Yeah,
like
I mean,
that.
yeah, like I would love to see a fully fleshed out version of Broken Matt Hardy with a budget, right? I mean, part of the fun of that gimmick was the low budget ridiculousness, but like, we're getting a lot of cool stuff with the Wyatt Sicks, so I would absolutely love getting, it's the word I'm looking for here. I don't want to say like a real version of Broken Matt Hardy, but getting, getting an actualized or a realized version of this character would be a ton of fun.
It'd be interesting if, especially with the Wyatt Sicks around, like with all the, like we haven't seen the interaction between the Wyatt Sicks and Braun Strowman yet. Alexa Bliss is eventually going to come back. She's going to have something to do with that storyline. Yeah, there's a lot of people that could have some integrations with that whole group.
No, it should be a ton of fun. But speaking of integrations, where does the Bloodline go at this point? I mean, so we do have this title match. I mean, Cody's obviously winning. But what happens? I mean, does Roman show up and screw over Solo? And if that's the case, does this set up War Games? I don't want to ask if it's too soon because I feel like this is a general progression where the story goes. But like, what do we do, right? If you're gonna fantasy book what's happening in 20 minutes. What are we doing, guys?
I think I said it earlier. I think it's Roman shows up in the beginning and you kick off this new season premiere of SmackDown with a bang. And like I don't know how this is the only question that I have. And like, obviously they have bookers that do this for a living. How do you have an interaction? Like, let Roman beat up the God like he's done time and time again. How do you have, like they did at SummerSlam, maybe a slight interaction or something where maybe Roman and Jacob just take each other out?
I mean, I'm cool with that too.
Like let them both set up that so that Solo and Cody one-on-one. And that, because that match is, I legitimately believe is happening before Jacob Roman's happening before Roman Solo, or I mean, I think maybe War Games is going to happen, but like I think that happens probably before Solo Roman for sure because he's an enforcer. You have to have the guy,
Yeah, you have to have the enforcer enforce. I mean, that totally makes sense. I mean, I'm looking forward to the day when like, and this is definitely a year out, right? Because like the idea of the Bloodline and like the Wyatt Sicks is really interesting. And there's still plenty for all these guys to do with the current characters they're running, but like getting a fully realized Jacob Fatu, like the guy that we saw in MLW, we're like, yeah, he was kind of the. I don't want to say he was like the mouthpiece because that's the wrong word, but he was like the lead guy for what the hell's the guy's name? Something Samael, or something Samuel was the leader of Contra, right? So Jacob Fatu was like the crown jewel of Contra, and Contra was like an invading force in MLW. I would love to see that version of this character. So he's a little less wild. I mean, he's still wild, but he's a little less wild, a little more calculated. And the guy's a pretty good promo. Like, put a microphone on his face. He's better than Darby.
No, I'm not saying. I mean, most. I hate to say it, most AEW doesn't cut a good promo. So
No.
I mean,
Which is, you have Mox and Kingston on there who can cut a promo. Like I said, I've said this before on the show. Like Mox and Kingston need to do a Dusty class.
Will the guys show up? Because you've had guys like Brian, or you've had guys like Regal, like you've had people. If the interviews are to be believed, that like they were like, hey, we're here if people want to show up, and we'll teach you something, and nobody shows up. Because they work the indies, and then what brought them to the dance is was working, so they don't need help, which is crazy to me. Like I would absolutely love to learn stuff from Regal, or at the time would have loved to learn stuff from Dusty, or these guys, or that guys, or whoever. Like you've had guys that have been in that business forever. Well, I don't understand why you wouldn't want to talk to them.
No, with anything, there's egos.
There's a quick. There's a segment on an early AEW being the Elite video, and Eddie Kingston cuts a promo on a cookie, and like they go to cut, and you hear Matt Jackson, he's like, "That got me." I was like, why is Eddie Kingston not like? He cut this promo, like I don't remember if it was just like he's upset that him and the cookie are not together, or he wanted the cookie but couldn't.
So I don't think I've seen that one, but have you seen him cut the promo on the bag of Skittles?
No.
Was it being the Elite?
I don't remember. I think it was being the Elite, but it was after he won either the New Japan Strong Championship or the Continental Crown Trap. I honestly don't remember.
I don't think if it's that late, then probably not.
But somebody hands him
champion for our participation trophy. Our participation title. I'm going to create one in our little design thing, and your next intro, or whenever I can get it done, it will be part of your thing. That also I have. Well, you may or may not be circulating on the internet. There is a photo of you as the manager of a new tag team that is known as the Nude Catch Republic.
Oh, that's exciting. Those guys are great.
Yeah, but the problem is one of them's injured, so I can't really like bust that out yet. But it will come back, and I hope they come back as a tag team.
I'm excited.
That being said, Ed, last shot before we let you go.
Last shot. Rick O'Shea is a fantastic game changer. He really has changed the game since he's been in AEW.
He's had 2 matches. Give the guy a break.
Darby Allin isn't ready, guys.
And Lisa's upset because she loves her participation trophies.
There's rumors and innuendos that Bobby Lashley and MVP and Shelton Benjamin have been talking to Tony Khan to bring the Hurt
Syndicate.
Okay, I was going to say collective, but I think just something to build in my brain.
The Nightmare Promo Collective.
And then apparently in WWE, MVP wanted Ricochet in the group, but they didn't want to turn Ricochet heel. So do you put that faction in there, turn Ricochet heel?
I like it. And the 17th faction in AEW.
Yeah, I was going to say I'm not mad at it, but like, what is it? Do something with the guys you have.
I know.
Love the one you're with. That's kind of how I feel. Well, it's definitely how I feel with my love life. But like wrestling, I kind of feel like, yeah, you just got to sometimes you got to ride the wave. But I digress. Ed, sir, it has been a pleasure.
Pleasure as always, guys.
As always. Should I send him off?
One more time. I forgot.
One more time. We're gonna let him go. The only way we know how, ladies and gentlemen. Darby's in his head. He's always in his head.
In my head now.
He's rent free in Ed's head.
Quick, we have what? Less than
14 minutes.
14 minutes. Get your snacks. Take your dogs out. Take yourself out. Our dog's not here. It's real weird. He's
real quiet. Don't know how I
So
feel
get
about
your
it.
snacks. Enjoy SmackDown. Take some notes because we're talking about it next week.
Exactly. Let's get ready. We will preview next week's SmackDown on September 20th. We're back here Friday, September 20th for our weekly happy hour.
Weekly, so good. I drink it weekly. It was flipping commercial.
I don't even know it, and I'm glad.
Oh, it's Cody Rhodes vodka. It's called Wheatley. So good, I drink it neatly.
Yeah. Well, I shouldn't talk. We don't have good marketing on
Good night,
our
Lisa.
branding.
Thanks for calling and we're listening. We love you.
Lisa, thanks for chiming in. Night.
Couple weeks, get ready, baby. Bad
blood. Another fun one.
Always.
Another state. The biggest thing in the show.
Oh yes.
We like to do. We have Crowbar was our first guest who talked about safety in wrestling, and we are very much. Nikki wears glasses for safety purposes for this show. So we are all about safety on the show.
I'm clumsy.
You still trip over things, even if you see him with magnified vision, it doesn't really help. Clumsiness is a disease. You're just born with it. I don't think you can get over clumsiness.
No.
There's no real way that you get over
I'm
clumsiness.
sorry.
Sorry, Nikki.
Sorry.
But
It's a gift.
if you're clumsy, hit the like button.
Let me know.
Let us know in the comments below. But that being said, I think there's only one way to go out. Is a safe way with our eloquent, not so CCO, Paul Levesque. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
I didn't say it right last time, but I said it right this time.
Yeah.
Paul Triple H Levesque taking us home.
Thought we had a spectacular event tonight. Very excited that so far everybody seems to have come out unscathed. Banged up, bumps and bruises, but nobody seriously injured, which I always hold my breath on these events. You want to see people have the best outing that they can possibly have and make memories, but do it safely. And we were able to do that tonight.
We were always able to do that. Well, for the most part.
We're making memories safely.
Safely making memories. And we hope that you were as well in this adventure. That we are here every week, Friday nights at 6 Eastern time, whatever that correlates to you. We are about 10 minutes out of SmackDown. We hope you all enjoy it. It is the season premiere, whatever we're calling it, some premiere, re-premiere, whatever they want to call it. It's a big show. It's going to be fun. Hopefully it'll be a blast for you. It will be a blast on our end. I always have a blast watching wrestling with the one I love, the things you love with the ones you love. That's the most important thing. So until next time, you do not have to go home.
But you can't stay here. Bye.